Good morning. Butters has joined us this morning. Oh my gosh. Welcome back to day 22. You guys, we're coming to the end here. I'm always relieved in some way, but very, very sad when Mishmas comes to an end. Anyway, we're not there yet. Today, we are drinking Diavolito. The taste, an intense, powerful espresso. No harshness, just fine oak wood and leather notes and a smooth and creamy texture. I will say for an espresso, it is incredibly smooth. This could be my favorite espresso so far because it's not mild, but it's smooth. I feel like sometimes I mix the two up. I'm like, oh, this is really smooth, when in fact, it's really just kind of mild, bland. This has a very low acidity, which you guys know I love. And then 4 out of 5 for bitterness, roast level, and body. It is intense, it is roasted and chocolatey. Yeah, I really like this one, Diavolito. Today's video, we're doing my best of 2024. I'm so excited for this video. Let's open up the advent calendars and let's get into this video. Okay, what are we on? Day 22, okay. Right here. We've got the Peony and Blush Suede Body Cream. I love their body cream, and I do enjoy the Peony and Blush Suede. It's very pretty. 22. Not up here. Oh, over here. Roses. I have so many roses candles. So nice. This is a really pretty, it's like a mid-tone rose. It's not super light. It's not super deep like their bay. Yeah, it's just really straightforward. It's just straight up roses. Okay, guys, today we're talking about the best makeup of 2024. So these are all of my favorites of products that were released this year. So I'm going to be doing another video that is like my all-time favorite products that are longtime loves, my ride or dies, my desert island picks. That is going to be another video. But this video is focusing on products that came out this year. So I'm going to go ahead and start with primer. I'm just gonna kind of start from the top and end with lips. So this came out this past year and I really love it. This is the NARS Light Reflecting Hydrating Primer. I have very, very dry skin, so I like primers that are very hydrating. I just like to take that extra opportunity to moisturize my skin. And I'm not always one that uses primer. It's not part of my regular makeup routine, if you will, but if I am feeling like I need a little something for my skin, if I feel like maybe I'm gonna be trying out a foundation that's matte, I wanna prep my skin a little bit, or I wanna start with a glowy base, which is very often the case, again, because I have dry skin. I like a glowy, radiant base. This is really perfect. It has a very lotion-like consistency. It goes on beautifully. It just feels like another step to my skincare routine. So I do put this on after all of my skincare and it works beautifully. I really, really like what it does to my skin. It does a little bit of blurring as well. I think that's just sort of the extra hydration that's kind of like filling in fine lines, and just I'll take any help I can get. So the NARS Light Reflecting Hydrating Primer. I'm actually really enjoying this line. They have a face mist too that I actually have up in my bathroom that I use often. So I've been loving this. This was great, and I'm fairly certain this came out this past year. Next, let's talk about foundations. So the Lisa Eldridge Seamless Skin Enhancing Tint. This has been one of my favorites this past year. It is a skin tint, so it does have light medium coverage. In terms of finish, this is definitely not a matte. I wouldn't say it's glowy necessarily, but it is like, I don't know, like skin-like plus. It's just really, really beautiful on the skin. I find it to be a little blurring. It's definitely very soothing. It stays on all day. It doesn't oxidize. The consistency is fairly thin. It does have like a squeezy spout there. And I don't have it on today. I do have a different foundation. But if you caught my, when did I wear this? I think it was my Sephora 20% off haul. I think I was wearing this in that video. So if you're curious what it looks like lately, because I did use this like incessantly when I first got it. But if you're interested in what it looks like on my skin lately, check out that video. This foundation is like what my dreams are made of. It doesn't have a heavy coverage. It's completely undetectable on the skin, both I think for the person looking at me and for myself also. It's not like something I feel. It doesn't get like tacky. I don't feel like I need to powder it. It's just, yeah, it's just absolute perfection. So that's the Lisa Eldridge Seamless Skin Enhancing Tint. I do use the shade T4. The foundation I have on my skin is the Dior Stick Foundation. Wow, this is a fantastic foundation. And as soon as this came into my life, I just started using this. This definitely has more coverage than the Lisa Eldridge. It's just easy to travel with. I don't feel like I have to worry about it spilling or leaking or doing anything. So anytime I traveled, I took this with me. It is fantastic. I was shocked at how much I love the stick foundation. I have loved stick foundations in the past. The Tom Ford one, which has been discontinued, that one I loved. I think there was a Makeup Forever one I loved, but this one beats them all. This blends in so quickly. You can actually see how quickly it blends in. So I took some footage of me applying this foundation, and you can just see I'm using a BK Beauty 101 brush, and it just blends right in. I'm not going over it too many times. I'm not tugging at my skin at all. And it has the most incredible finish. It is so smooth. And despite its heavier coverage, it doesn't have a heavy coverage, but it's heavier coverage. I would say it has like a medium coverage. I feel like it's undetectable on the skin. It really is so perfecting without any of the heaviness or any of the cakiness. It is an absolute delight in every way. So that's the Dior Stick Foundation. I love it. I love it. I have it in the shade 2N. I have a backup of this in shade 1.5N because when I get paler in the wintertime, I think I'm going to be switching over to 1.5. But anyway, I have 2N on, and 2N is what I use for most of the year. Now, since we're on the topic of Dior Stick Foundation, the Dior Contour Stick, I am using shade 01 Light. I have talked about this product as well a lot since I got it. I pretty much just swipe it on like any other contour underneath my cheekbones. It blends out just like the foundation. It blends out like a dream. And when it comes to contour, just like foundation, when it comes to contour, that's got to blend out. That's got to blend out real nice. Otherwise, you do not want a contour that is obvious. You don't want a contour where you see the beginning and the end of it. It has to blend into your complexion really seamlessly. I believe it was Troy Surratt who said a bad contour is like a bad toupee. It's so obvious. It's so obvious, and it will just completely ruin your look. So it's really important to get your contour right. Anyway, I highly recommend this. And if you have a similar skin tone to mine, 01 Light is excellent. I also have 02, I think it's called Tan. It's of course a little bit deeper than 01, but it's also a little bit warmer, which I'm not the biggest fan of. So I think that one actually will make a nice bronzer, but you have to use it very lightly. These sticks are fairly pigmented. You don't need a lot of this product, especially when you're contouring. So I just swipe underneath my cheekbones. I blend that out, and then whatever I have left over on the brush, I'll maybe swipe along the sides of my nose. Maybe I'll bring it along the hairline, around my forehead. I'll like brush a little bit underneath my chin, but I only apply it right here, and then I just use the excess for the rest of my face. So that contour stick is fantastic. Now, if you're a face palette lover like myself, I love this Ilia face palette. I think it's fantastic. So I am holding up the shade Light. I do also have medium, which I think most of the products in there work for my skin tone. The bronzer is a little bit deep. The blushes are really beautiful. The highlight is nice. I feel like that is one I can use in the summertime. Light I can use all year round. This is incredible. The full name, before I go on, is the Ethereal Baked Face Palette. These are baked products. So these products go on in a very light way. They're buildable. They blend out beautifully. These colors are gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. Here are swatches of all 4 shades. And hopefully you can tell that last blush, the one that's more peachy, that has a really beautiful, like slightly metallic sheen to it. The pink one, it's a bit more matte than the peach, but it's not a full-on matte. There's a little bit going on in there so that it's not completely flat. The bronzer is matte, and then of course we've got the highlight. Look how beautiful that palette is, and I love the shape of it. It's really easy to hold. And I just think this was really well thought out. I love the products. I love that they're all in one palette. I love the shape of the palette. It's wonderful. Blushes. Okay, I've got a lot of blushes. I feel like companies just couldn't stop coming out with blushes this past year, so this was pretty tough actually. I didn't want to talk about too many, but I do have 3, which I think is plenty. But the cream blush that I reached for, I would say the most over the past year, is the Rhode Pocket Blush in the shade Freckle. So it is, this guy rolls up and down. So that's the shade Freckle. Let me do a swatch. Now, the formula is really, really great. So if there's a different shade that appeals to you, I think you would really love it. I just happen to like Freckle. I found it to be very, very neutral. And they are, as you can see, they are fairly pigmented. So you guys have seen me use it. I would just swipe a little bit on my cheekbones and then I would blend it out from there. It blends out like a dream and it stays put. So it really is an incredible formula. I do think the shade range is really, really lovely. They have some really bright pops of color. They have some really deep tones for deeper skin tones. And I love this little compact packaging that it comes in because I did travel with this past summer and it was very easy, made it very, very easy. And today I actually have a liquid blush on. Hourglass came out with these Unreal liquid blushes and they are gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. This shade, Scene, is wonderful. There's another shade I was using quite a bit. I think it's called Whim, and I think it's pinker, but I have Scene on today, and it's just a great liquid blush. I feel like liquid blushes can be very, very tricky. I feel like they can end up looking streaky or patchy or blotchy or too much pigmentation or too little pigmentation. But Hourglass seems to have really nailed this formula. It is really easy to blend out. It's easy to work with. It is highly pigmented, yet it blends out beautifully. It's not blotchy. It's not patchy. It's really, really great. So I only need about 1 drop of this. So this packaging is really interesting. It's just got this dropper at the top. It's almost like the Surratt Dewdrop foundation. And then there's this button at the bottom. So what I like to do is just shake it up. I turn it upside down and then I press this button and that will release like 1 drop. So I do like 1 and then I take whatever excess off of the dropper for the rest. So I would say about 1.5 drops, and that's good enough for both of my cheeks. And I will drop it out onto the back of my hand and then I will use a brush. So I love these Unreal liquid blushes, just divine. And then you guessed it, the Chanel cream to powder blushes. I love these. I feel like I've talked about Chanel and these blushes in particular a lot lately. I did a top 10 Chanel beauty products video. These appeared there. I mentioned these also in a ranting video where I was asking beauty companies what the heck they're doing. I talk about these in my declutter video, but not to sing the praises of these cream to powder blushes yet again, but Beige Eclatant and Rose, let me hold this up, Rose Ardent are the 2 shades that I have used the most. I brought these when I traveled. Again, they're great because they are a kind of cream product that I felt like instead of a straight up powder product, they probably would not break quite as easily and really easy to use. I always like to use brushes, but they do go on with fingers really easily. I have been desperate and used my fingers and they just tap on beautifully. And I do like that they are a cream in the compact. And then once you start to blend them into your cheek, they just like magically turn into like a powder blush where they just look like they've been dusted on. They blend out really beautifully. The pigmentation is great. I mean, just all the right things, all the right things. Chanel really, really, really answered all of our prayers with these cream to powder blushes. And I keep saying that I think they made it up to us by taking away those powder blushes of theirs and giving us these. I've got 2 highlights from this past year. The Ilia Cream Highlighter. This is their Light Shift cream highlighter, and I use the shade Glint, and that is what I have on my cheeks today. And I love this highlighter because it is subtle. It is subtle, it is elegant, it is just light, it's everyday. It's like perfect for someone who has thought the highlighters of past years were just too bright, too ostentatious, too tacky, if you will. If you want something that just gives your skin just a little bit of a sheen, this is perfect. I just roll my finger around in the pan and then I just tap it onto my cheek. Easy to use, blends out beautifully, and gives your skin just like a satin, like an amped up satin finish. We don't move into metallic. It's just really, really beautifully satin. So I highly recommend this. But if you do want something stronger, you like a really brilliant highlight, this Hermes highlighter, which, gosh, I hope it's not limited edition, but it is their Or Rose. And this actually reminds me a lot of the old Burberry Rose Gold highlight. This is gorgeous. It is gorgeous. If you are really looking to shine, if you really want to come into a room just sparkling, this is fantastic. I love the formula. I love the tone of this. Hermes really, really outdid themselves with this. I think it's stunning. And the bronzer I've been loving from this past year is the Armani bronzer. This is their Luminous Silk Bronzing Powder. I have it in the shade 100. It has a little bit of a metallic sheen going on. There are some micro glitters when you look at it in the pan, but once you get it onto the skin, it disappears. I don't see it. I never detect it, even in daylight. It's gorgeous. I love this tone. I love the shade in terms of a bronzer. I love that it comes in this big pan. I can take a big brush, big fluffy brush, and just lightly dust it all over my face. And in fact, because I don't use a lot of powder, and unless I need to powder like my under eyes, I generally don't use powder like all over my face. So what I've started doing just recently is using bronzer to kind of powder all over my face. So I basically use this once I'm done with all of my face products, basically foundation, concealer, contour, blush, highlight, all that stuff. And then I will go in very lightly and basically dust bronzer all over my face, just sort of focusing more on the high points where my face would naturally see more sunlight. So, on my cheeks, my nose, my forehead, and everything. And I feel like I'm kind of setting things down too. I mean, I know that's not the point of bronzer, but because I don't want to use a powder, my skin is dry, I just like using this. I'm like, I'm going to use a bronzer anyway. So I just like using it kind of at the end of everything and just warming everything up. So anyway, that's how I've been using bronzer. And this bronzer has been great for that because for a bronzer, this is very, very well pigmented. In general, it's very lightly pigmented, but to me, that's great for bronzer. You really don't want a bronzer that's like, I don't know, that's like pigmented like an eyeshadow. Is too much. It's too much. So this is absolutely perfect. And I think I flew right by concealer. Oh my goodness. Well, concealer. You guys knew this is what I was going to talk about. The Westman Atelier Vital Skincare Concealer. I use the shade M1 and then the shade L4, which is, I believe, right next to M1. These are the two shades that I like. M1 I find to be just very close to my skin tone, so that's what I have on today. L4 is what I'll use if I feel like I want to do like just a little bit of brightening, that little bit of under eye brightening. The L4 is great for that. I was so pleasantly surprised when I first used these concealers. Westman Atelier to me is very kind of like light, natural kind of makeup, but these concealers are really, really high coverage. So I just use like 3 dots of this concealer and I get like a nice coverage underneath my entire eye. I bring it out over here close to my temple. It's plenty. It's plenty. I don't think you need a lot of this product. And it has almost like a tacky texture to it. So in my experience, tackier concealers stay put. They don't really move. They don't migrate. They're not going to sink into fine lines. They're not going to crease or do anything, unsightly underneath the eyes. And that's been my experience with these concealers. I put it on and I don't have to worry about it. If I do put a lot of eye makeup on, like I did today, I will add a little bit of powder on top just so things won't like smear and smudge around. I have been loving this concealer. I do also like this very petite little bottle it comes in. Very, very handy. And it has a doe foot applicator, so it's just easy to just tap on. So good. So I didn't come across any powders that came out this past year that were exceptional. I feel like I've got some old standbys that are great. Same with brow products. I really have been enjoying the Billion Dollar Brows, but I don't think that's new this past year. It's new to me, and I thought I would mention it, but I don't think it's new this past year. I'm using the Glossier Boy Brow in gray today. That is definitely not a new product. That's been around forever. So let's go ahead and move on to eyeshadow. I'm going to start with what I have on my eyes, and that is the Makeup Forever Artist to Go palette. And this is in shade 606 Wherever Walnut. These are amazing. I love a little palette. I love like a quad. I love a duo. I love this 6-pan. I love how small this is. This is basically the size of a credit card. It's amazing. I think there is one other shade. It's much warmer. And then there is one that I saw pictures of, and I don't think actually it's been released yet. So I think they're coming out with another one, which I'm so excited about. And it tells me that these have gone over really, really well. I think people are really enjoying these. So I basically just have these two colors on my eyes today. I have the metallic one basically on the inner portion of my lid over onto the center of my lid. And then I have this matte shade over on the outer corner. They blend out beautifully. The pigmentation is great. I don't have any fallout. They just behave beautifully. They wear all day. I feel like when Makeup Forever does it right, they do it right. Like really, really right. And in fact, I have another product of theirs in today's video. But I also love that there's 3 metallics here and 3 mattes. So just really balanced, really pretty shade range. And here are all the shades swatched. Isn't that a beautiful color story? It's just a little bit different. There's that warm kind of reddish brown shade amongst all of these much cooler shades, and I think it works. And then you have this really sooty, very deep, very cool toned lilac shade. It's just gorgeous. They're stunning, stunning, and you can see the pigmentation. Just really beautiful, and all in this little teeny tiny palette, this small but mighty 6-pan palette. Anyway, that's what I have on my eyes today. I've been loving this. I've traveled with it. It is wonderful. Let me get these singles out of the way because I feel like, much like the cream to powder blushes, I've been talking about these singles from Chanel incessantly. I have been using this one Run Talpa shade incessantly. I cannot get enough of this. If I feel like a one and done shadow look, I immediately think of this shade. It's just beautiful. I love the metallic sheen to it. I love the pigmentation. I love the tone. It's a nice, cool brown. And I feel like we're moving into this mocha mousse phase in our lives. Thank you, Pantone. And this fits in beautifully. If you want to do like a mocha mousse makeup look, maybe I need to do a mocha mousse makeup look. What do you guys think? Anyway, this is fantastic. And talk about like wears really well. At the end of the day, it looks like I just put it on. Like these don't budge at all. They don't fade at all. Really, really incredible formula. And then the other one that I love that I have, that I wear much less, but it's so beautiful. And if you're looking for a bright shade and maybe you're just tired of using like a white or crystally white shade, maybe think about this shade because it does the same thing in terms of maybe brightening up the inner corner, but because of that green and the shift to gold, it's just a little bit more interesting. And I think during the holidays, it's a great time to amp up your look a little bit. So anyway, that is shade 222, Jade Facette or Jade Facette. And Natasha Denona came out with, I think, 3 palettes this past year. I think 3 palettes. So I Need a Warm, the Golden palette, and then the Roxy palette, which is her latest, I believe. Yeah, that's her latest. It's like the purple one. And I was looking through those 3. Obviously, the purple one is beautiful. I just don't use that often. It's not something I reach for. The I Need a Warm and the Golden palettes, I was kind of going back and forth because I was like, let me just choose one. And I chose the Golden palette. This palette I used a lot more than the Warm palette because I find these tones to be a little bit more neutral. And I've been saying this all year, but I'm just gravitating a little bit more towards neutral, cooler toned palettes. I don't know if it's because the grays coming into my hair, I feel like cooler tones just look a little bit nicer. I've been using more like cooler toned gray, sort of eyebrow gels. So I don't know if it's just me. I don't know if it's because cooler tone palettes are being like pumped out by the companies. I don't know. But personally, I am leaning more towards like neutral and cooler tone palettes. And this one I find a little bit more neutral than the I Need a Warm palette. And I do love a gold shade. And these browns, like these 2 and this one, very, very neutral, very neutral. Not a lot of like orange in there. And this sandstone shade reminds me of like my favorite kind of crease color from way back when I started YouTube, like 7, 8 years ago. If a brown had a little bit of mustard in there, I know it's almost unbelievable, but if it has a little bit of mustard in there, For my skin tone, it just worked really, really well as a crease. I don't know what it is. Can't explain it. I'm not that good with color theory. I don't like mustardy olive bronzers. Like that's why Laguna from NARS doesn't really work for me. It has a little bit of that undertone, but for some reason it works really, really well on my eyes. I don't know what it is. But anyway, the Sandstone has a teensy bit of it. And when I opened up this palette, my eyes went right to the shade and I was like, I feel like that could be a really good crease color. There is Sandstone, by the way. So if you're a fan of Natasha Denona eyeshadows, like the formulas, I think you'll really like this. There's, you know, beautiful mattes in here, her beautiful metallics. I really like the way her shadows perform. They're just rock solid, and I do think they have become very consistent, so I feel like I know what to expect every time I get a new palette from her. So the Golden Palette, a winner for 2024. Now, I probably should have mentioned this palette when I was talking about the Makeup Forever palette, but this is the Kevyn Aucoin, the Contour Eyeshadow Palette in Light. I believe there's 2 color stories. And again, we've got like another really compact 6-pan eyeshadow palette. And I'm gonna hold it up next to the Makeup Forever. So very similar in size and similar in the fact that the Kevyn Aucoin also has 3 mattes, which are at the top, and then 3 metallics right here. I really love this shadow. I think it works really, really well. I think it gives you a much softer look than the Makeup Forever. And I think if you're looking for something that's a little bit more everyday, or you're a beginner to eyeshadow, or you're even looking for like a gift, I think this is great. Great, great, great. It's very neutral. It's very subtle. It will give you a really beautiful, like elegant, subtle look. It's gorgeous. It's like the perfect work palette. So I wanted to mention that because this has been another like travel favorite of mine. Let's get into lips. So lip liners that I cannot seem to get away from are the Makeup Forever Artist Color Pencils, because they redid their Artist Color Pencils. I think they had them before. They were just like a black barrel. And they came out with these and like a whole new color range. And they have the most incredible neutrals, the most incredible nudes. So I feel like I have, oh, here. It's like there's 3 that I use often. So these are the 3. Okay, so these are the 3 that I use the most. So we've got Wherever Walnut, Anywhere Caffeine, and Endless Cacao. Aren't those such great nudes? I have Endless Cacao on today with one of my favorite lipsticks, which we'll talk about in just a second, but I just love these pencils. They are very straightforward. Very, very straightforward. The formula is very straightforward. These are all wood barrels. You have to sharpen them. There's no like fancy like gel kind of formula to them. They're easy to use and they are like multi-use. So I use these as lip pencils, but you can use them on your eyes, anywhere on your face. If you're a makeup artist, I think that's wonderful. So I've been loving these pencils. And again, they just have the broadest shade range of these artist color pencils. It's amazing. And then the lip color that I have been loving, the color, the formula, everything, the packaging, everything, are the Lisa Eldridge Rouge Experience. Look at this packaging. Is that not stunning? These are refillable, which is great. And the shade that I just cannot stop wearing is Romy. So that's what I have on my lips right now. This formula, it's so creamy, it's so moisturizing, it's so comfortable, but I don't feel like it comes off too quickly. It's not too slippy. There's like a nice like thickness to them. Sorry, that's like not a really pretty way of saying that, but there's like a density to them so that they don't just come right off when I take a drink or whatever. Now they're not long lasting. I mean, you will have to reapply, but they don't just like slide right off, which I feel like a lot of comfortable lipsticks do. And this color is incredible. I love that it's refillable. It's just perfect. I mean, it's exactly what you would expect from Lisa Eldridge. Like the formula, the colors, everything is impeccable. So I love these Rouge Experience lipsticks. And then the lip gloss that I could not shut up about this past year are the Armani Prismaglass lip glosses. Woo! Did I go hard with this? In fact, I'm about halfway done, which is a lot for me. And in fact, I already have a backup because I traveled without this and I was like, oh no, oh no. And I ran to Sephora and got one. So this is in shade 07 Nude Glow. It is gorgeous. I mean, you can see right in the tube. Let me swatch it so you could see how pigmented it is. It's just a perfect gloss. It's a perfect gloss. It has a little bit of pigmentation, but not too much. So if you put it on over lipstick, it's fine. You can wear it really, really well with just lip liner. That's generally how I like to wear this. I really like pairing it with Anywhere Caffeine. So good, so good. And there's like no fragrance, just like those pencils. There's just nothing like tricky about this lip gloss. They're not sticky, they're not especially oily, they're not especially thick, like just a great texture, no fragrance, beautiful, beautiful sheen. Now these next lipsticks, these really blew my skirt up. I love, love, love the formula and I love the colors. These are the Suku Moisture Glaze lipsticks. And I have shades 1 and 11. They are like just this incredible kind of like lip gloss in a stick, not quite that loose, but really, really moisturizing and really glossy. Do you see that finish? It just looks so beautiful and healthy on the lips, and they're easy to wear. They look great over lip liner. So they almost act like a lip gloss, but they have a little bit more pigmentation, I think, than the average lip gloss. But they have that wonderful sheen. They are really, really comfortable on the lips and really easy to apply since they come in bullet form. So that's number 11. These are also refillable, which is great. And you can see actually in the bullet, do you see how glossy and juicy these are? Oof, they are so good. So the Suku Moisture Glaze lipstick. In fact, glaze, what a good name, glaze. Yeah, these definitely look like a glaze if you've ever done pottery before. Wonderful, wonderful lip product. And then I wanted to give a shout out to a relative newcomer. Well, she's not a newcomer, Sarah Creole, but her makeup line is like a newcomer and Sephora carries them. And I love, love, love their hydrating lipsticks. So there's one shade that reminds me of the Or Beige from Chanel that I just decluttered. And I decluttered it because I got this one. And it is called, it's called Invisible Labor. So it's this really beautiful peachy pink, but it has some gold flecks in there. And these are just another not hyperpigmented lipstick, just a really decently pigmented, very creamy, very comfortable lipstick with a beautiful like sheen to them. But this particular shade has like a little bit of a goldish reflect in there. It is stunning. It is absolutely stunning. The other shade that I really enjoy is CEO, which I love. And this is like a little bit of a cooler tone mauve. Look at that. Just beautiful, beautiful finish to these lipsticks. And the packaging doesn't hurt. This like minty green is very, very Prada, so I love it. And these liquid lipsticks, I wasn't sure if I wanted to mention because they are new to my collection. I do really, really love them. I believe they're limited edition, so I don't even know if you'll be able to get these for much longer. But I just love these Dior liquid lipsticks in the sequin finish. I have Twinkle and Sensation, and they are both cooler toned, I think, than they appear in the little bottle. So generally, I feel like when it comes to eyeshadow and lipsticks and blushes sometimes, I feel like they look nice and cool in the pan or the tube or the bottle. And then when I apply it, they get very, very warm. However, these get cooler. And I was like, what? I love them. So Twinkle looks like just a nude shade, but I'm gonna swatch it for you and I'm gonna see if you think the same thing. It's like a grayish brown. I would not have suspected that when I just look at this. I feel like, yeah, they look the same, but for some reason this reads like it could almost kind of come out like a peach, but this comes out like the perfect grungy gray nude. And I have been wearing this incessantly. And I think why I love these so much is because, yes, they're sequin finish, but the metallic sort of like micro glitter that becomes exposed once you rub your lips together is really, really subtle. It's really, really understated. It's not like a glitter bomb once you like rub your lips together. So the thing is, you're supposed to let this dry And then when you rub your lips together, like a little bit of a sparkle comes out. It's very pretty. It's not too much. I'm not too much for like a glitter bomb on my lips. I don't mind a little bit of a glitter bomb on my eyelids. Sometimes my cheeks, maybe for like a holiday party, but I really don't like it on my lips. I just feel like it looks like, I don't know, like you have crumbs or something on your lips, like you didn't wipe away food. But I'm gonna let this dry a little bit and then expose the glitter. But that one is Twinkle. And I love the gray tone in it. And then this one is Sensation. And looking at the tube, I thought, oh, okay, I'm just gonna get like a berry plum. It's like definitely purpley, but a lot of gray cool tone going on. I think they just did an incredible job with these color shades because they're different. I just love what they did with these shades. I'm really tempted to get the other shades. They have, I think, 3 other sequin shades. I think one is already sold out, but I'm so curious if the other ones run cool also. Oh, because I would love that. I would love that. Okay, I think the Twinkle has kind of dried a little bit, so I'm just gonna rub it. So you probably can barely see it, but a little bit of a silver sparkle appears, just ever so slightly. And then Sensation is a little bit brighter, but do you see that metallic sheen come out? It's more like, yes, there's glitter. Yes, absolutely. There's micro glitter, but it's almost like what gets exposed is a metallic sheen on top of the glitter. It's not just like glitter just jumps out. I don't know. I really, really love them. But again, they are limited edition, I believe, and they are relatively new to my collection. So again, I felt a little, I don't know, a little hesitant mentioning them in this best of 2024 video, but I love them so much. I thought I would share my love with you. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Let me know what some of your absolute favorite products from 2024 were down below in the comment section. I would love to hear from you. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe down below if you haven't already, and I will see you in tomorrow's Mishmas video. Bye.